The Anunnaki story is unethical, avoid it. The story was no doubt created by the same unethical people who created the mystery God story of the Bible. Black people who are abandoning popular religions should not fall for this unethical story. We need to follow ethical breadcrumbs in our endeavor to discover the truth of our existence. We will not claim to speak for all, but it's great to see that a lot of black people are now abandoning the religions of our colonizers due to the unethical nature of those concepts and their inability to satisfy our spiritual needs. Unfortunately, many of us are turning to unethical myths, including the Anunnaki creation story. That is because the Anunnaki story has gained significant attention in recent years. Originating from ancient Mesopotamian texts, this tale revolves around a group of deities referred to as the Anunnaki. However, upon closer examination, it became evident that the Anunnaki story lacks ethical foundation. What is ethics and why is it important? Society defines ethics as a branch of philosophy that deals with morality and the principles of right and wrong. Dogon spirituality defines ethics and morality as the energy of the Great Spirit, that is the universe, acting on human conscience to rein in and balance human desires. Ethics is important because it helps us to determine what is right and wrong in any given situation. It can help us to make decisions that are in line with our values and beliefs, and it can help us to understand the consequences of our actions. Ethics can also help us to understand the impact of our decisions on others and the environment. What is the Anunnaki story? The Anunnaki story states that the Anunnaki discovered Earth about 500,000 years ago. During that time in their history, their planet was experiencing a global catastrophe. It was losing its atmosphere, and the only substance that could dramatically slow the process was the spreading of gold dust in the atmosphere. They knew that the supply of gold on their planet would ultimately run out, so they were actively exploring the galaxy to find gold on other worlds. When they found Earth and its enormous supply of gold, the only living organisms here were plants, animals, and insects. The Anunnaki quickly brought down a slave race of beings to mine the gold for them, but after a few thousand years the slaves rebelled, so they exterminated them. The Anunnaki then decided to create a more obedient slave race by mixing their DNA with Earth's primates, apes, to create humans. Thousands of years passed and they saw that humans were getting unruly, so they gave human leaders religions to keep humans content and hopeful that they will join their God in the heavens someday. Up until a few thousand years ago, the Anunnaki would arrive in plain sight to collect the gold that humans stockpiled for them, but in modern times, and since religions are working so well in keeping humans obedient, they've chosen to only reveal themselves to human leaders and elites of chosen countries. Most people believe that aliens exist and have been visiting Earth for thousands of years. The only problem is that there isn't much evidence to prove it. Anunnaki followers believe that the reason why no empirical evidence to prove the existence of aliens is available to the general public is because government and elites are hiding it. Why do we label the Anunnaki myth unethical? First of all, the Anunnaki myth is not unethical to regular people because they refuse to implement ethics in every intellectual pursuit they engage in. If they did, they would quickly consider the pursuit of ethics as the true measure of civilization. To us, the Anunnaki myth is unethical because of two things. The first problem we have with the Anunnaki myth is that it states that the Anunnaki first came to Earth in search of gold. If you don't know, since ancient times up until present day, gold has been the true standard of affluence. Therefore, it isn't hard to understand why the creators of the Anunnaki myth would have chosen to use gold as the object that beings from other worlds would travel across the galaxy to find. Scientists have understood the chemical properties of gold for over 100 years now. Scientists also understand that gold, like all elements, can be created artificially. The only problem they face is generating enough energy to manipulate atoms into gold. Gold also has a purity scale, which is measured in carats. The higher the carat, the purer the gold. 24-karat gold is the purest form of gold, while 10-karat gold is the least pure. Our question is, if the Anunnaki are millions of years more advanced than humans, why is it that they've not figured out how to create gold instead of traveling billions of miles across the galaxy to dig it up? The answer to that question is that those who created the Anunnaki story would rather follow the example of religion instead of using their brains to think logically. They're hoping that everyone will be as gullible as them. The second problem we have with the Anunnaki story is the unethical concept of slavery and the assumption that slavery and conquest is a natural characteristic of every species that has ever and will ever exist in the universe. I categorically reject that assumption and will also point out that even when we apply the evolution scale, intelligent beings will eventually graduate beyond the need to exploit other beings in order to survive. To prove how ingrained this concept is in the psyche of even the most intelligent Europeans, the world-renowned physicist Stephen Hawking issued a warning that humanity should fear aliens because humans will end up as slaves to them. I guess Stephen Hawking hadn't heard about the concept of the Namo. The Namo are a species of benevolent spiritual entities in the mythology of the Dogon people of West Africa. They are said to be the first living beings created by the Supreme Being, Amma. They are described as fish-like creatures who descended from the sky to teach the Dogon people about the universe and the secrets of life. When another famous European astronomer, Carl Sagan, was asked about the Dogon, he reverted to the racist side of his nature and claimed that anything the Dogon knew about the heavens must have been attained from European explorers. The plain truth is that non-African concepts about spirituality and the origin of life cannot be trusted. Their nature is conquest and domination, therefore, all their concepts about reality will be based on conquest and domination. So, as mentioned before, the Anunnaki myth finds its roots in ancient Mesopotamia, particularly in Sumerian and Babylonian texts. These texts depict the Anunnaki as a group of deities who played a significant role in human history. However, it is crucial to understand that these texts were created in a time when mythology was commonly used to explain natural phenomena and societal structures. The importance of benevolence. Most dictionaries define benevolence as an act of kindness or charity, typically done without expecting anything in return. It is an act of goodwill and generosity, often motivated by a desire to help others. We recognize benevolence as the highest state of sanity. The Great Spirit that is the universe is an infinite mass of pure dark energy. Thought is manipulated energy that begins in chaos and strives for perfection. If conquest and domination is chaos, then benevolence is perfection. How many benevolent alien species are there in the galaxy? That is a question that we can't answer yet, but we do have an example of one, the Namo. The Namo came to our brothers the Dogon and didn't want gold or to conquer, subjugate, and be worshipped. They simply came to share knowledge. Furthermore, the Namo are so ethical that, even though their physical appearance is very different from us, they've never tried to change our appearance to look like them, unlike the unethical God mentioned in Genesis in the Bible. If you are a person of African ancestry and you are searching for an ethical spiritual belief system for inspiration, consider Dogon spirituality and the Haru interface. The Namo are our spiritual inspiration, and there is nothing unethical about them or their objectives for visiting Earth. The Namo are simply willing to share their knowledge with us in hopes that doing so will inspire us to pursue an ethical existence.